up, everybody? KBO Collections back today with a video response for the Ticket Leprechaun. Actually, he just got 400 subscribers and he's doing a contest, a giveaway. And first off, before we get into that, I would just like to say I'm glad that I found your channel. I think it's very nice and interesting, and congratulations on 400 subscribers. So anyway, for his contest, what he's asking people to do is he's asking them to talk about or tell a story about a card. So I'm going to tell a story about a card in my collection, but it's not a card that is of my collection of my childhood. So to know about this card and to understand why I picked it, I need to tell you a story and why. So I grew up in a small town in Mississippi in the 80s and 90s. So that's where I grew up at. I grew up in a time where, we had book fairs and our local card shops were the just little mom and pop stores and things like that, because we didn't have an LCS there. We just had just little mom and pop shops and things like that, and you could go in and buy a pack of Tops or Donruss or Fleer or whatever, and those types of things. And like I said, during this time, one of the big things growing up as a kid were these book fairs and things like that. And we had Book It, where you could get the pizza and those types of things. And there are some people out there that will know what I'm talking about and remember about these things. So anyway, growing up in such a small place and, without a lot of card things and everything, we still collected, but like I said, we just bought things at the local mom and pop shops, the little corner stores, or maybe the Fred's or the Dollar General, or just the local Piggly Wiggly. I mean, we'd go, the Piggly Wiggly had baseball cards right beside the cash registers, things like that. So that's how we collected. And I don't know, I guess I probably started collecting around, it's probably about 86, 87, something like that. That's when I started collecting. And anyway, during that time period, I had favorite teams, but I didn't have a favorite team. And during that time period, I also had favorite players, but I didn't have a favorite player. And part of that's because growing up in Mississippi, we didn't have professional teams. We had minor league teams. And that was, and when I say, I know minor league is professional, I'm talking about with major league teams. So as a result, I mean, my teams often changed with the minor league teams. And because we were a AA team that was changing ownership quite frequently, we would change teams quite frequently. Like when I was a kid, we were with the Mets, so I liked the Mets for a time. Then we went to the Astros, so I liked the Astros for a time. Things like that. But ultimately, during that whole time period, I guess my fandom was most linked to the Braves. And it was most linked to the Braves because that was the closest professional team. And I followed the Braves, and that was, one of my favorite teams of the time. But then in the summer of 1993, my family went on a vacation, and we went to St. Louis. So we went on this family vacation to St. Louis, and I got to see my first and only ever MLB game in person. And it was the St. Louis Cardinals. Don't remember who they were playing, don't remember the date. I just remember the summer of 93. That's what I remember about it. And, it's one of those things that, while I don't remember the specific details, I remember the experience. And I remember going into the shops and stuff around the stadium and buying souvenirs and watching the game and eating snacks and just hanging out with my family and having a great time. So, that was my childhood. And from that point forward, from 1993, that's when I became a St. Louis Cardinals fan, because I finally had a connection, like a solid connection more so than just, it being the closest team, because it wasn't the closest team, right? But it was just one of those things that I developed a connection with. Now, so that leads me to the card that I picked to talk about. So, like I said, I've brought up, like the book fairs, scholastic book fairs and the bookets and things like that, and the time of my childhood and different things. So that led me to pick this card, and this is a card that I would have had in my childhood collection, which I sold in 1994 because I bought my first car, and so yeah, sold my collection. So anyway, but this is something that I would have had in my collection, and some people will remember these, the collectabooks. So this is an Ozzie Smith collectabook, and it just brings back the good memories of childhood, right? It's just, quite frankly, it's a little book, right? And it talks about the player. So, like I said, this is the Ozzie Smith collectabook. And what I want to do is I just want to take a minute, look through it, and read a bit of what's inside. So, Earl Osborne Smith, personal highlights. Nickname, Ozzie or the Wizard of Oz. Born December 26, 1954 in Mobile, Alabama. Hometown, St. Louis, Missouri. Height, 5'10", weight 160 pounds, position shortstop. Bats both, throws right. College, Cal State Poly. Then you get on the inside to the personal story. Ozzie Smith is probably the best defensive shortstop in the history of baseball. Until last season, when he was suffering from back problems, he had inaugurated every season at Busch Stadium by doing a backflip as he ran onto the field on opening day. Only a couple of years before becoming one of the highest salaried players in the game, Smith took out an ad for looking for off-season work. This underlined the disappointing pay policies of his team at the time, the San Diego Padres, and helped to cause his trade to the Cardinals in exchange for Gary Templeton. Smith, the regular number 2 batter in the Cardinals lineup, is mainly known for his glove and his base stealing, but he has also shown enough bat control to contribute mightily to the running game of leadoff hitter Vince Coleman. Career highlights: winner of 10 Gold Gloves, member of 9 consecutive National League All-Star teams, collected a shortstop record 621 assists in 1980, stole 30 or more bases in 6 straight seasons, ranks second in all-time fielding average at shortstop. Then, of course, it has some of his statistics, and that goes up until 1989. And then on this page, it says, I may not drive in 100 runs each year, but I can prevent 100 runs from being scored against us. Ozzie Smith. And then, on the last page, on the back, one of the best defensive shortstops in the game. Today, Ozzie set a major league record for the most assists with 621 in 1980. So, like I said, this is something that takes me back to my childhood. And it takes me back to that. Now, while this isn't from 1993, when I went to the first game or anything, it's something that I do remember having these as a child. And I remember, like, during the book fairs and things, when they would come to our schools, I was always, ready to get in there and dig through and try to find the different sports books and baseball books in particular. And I would read about them and, read about the players and things like that. And, that's just this book / card / collectabook just sort of sums up my childhood and where I grew up at. And that's why I picked this, and that's why I wanted to talk about this card. Even though it's not something from my childhood collection, because I don't have any of that anymore. But, well, I take that back. I do have a 1989 Fleer set still in the closet at home in America. So anyway, but outside of that, this is it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. And go check out the Ticket Leprechaun. And give him a subscription and join into the contest. So thanks for watching, and see you soon. All right.